So in this video, I'm just going to demonstrate what happens when we insert items into a system back to back without pulling them into the system. And so this complements the other video I did on capacity. So here in my spreadsheet, I've got my activities across the top. So this is activity 1, activity 2, activity 3, 4, and 5, and then things exit the system. So you can see here that it's an unbalanced system. So this takes 6, just like in my video, and all my other activities take 4. So if I enter an item into the system, item A right here, these are the enter times and exit times with each activity. A spends 4 minutes in that first activity, and at the 4th minute exits to activity 2. And no time spent in the queue, and it flows straight on through. It spends 6 minutes in activity 3, 4 here, 4 here, finally exits the system at time 22. So it takes 22 minutes to get through the entire system. That's what we expected. You'll see here with B, if we insert B right on the tail of A, so as soon as A is finished with activity 1, we insert B. That's not a problem. B flows directly to activity 2, but then we see when B tries to get into activity 3, we have some time spent here in this queue. B spends 2 minutes in this queue while it's waiting for activity 3 to free up from item A. And then B is going to flow through there. And then B is going to exit the system at time 28. Now, this is just what we expected. One item to exit the system every 6 minutes due to activity 3 being a 6-minute activity. Here's where the problem starts to increase. So when we flow activity C through the system, you'll see that activity C spends even twice the amount of time in the queue that B did, waiting on this third activity to free up. And then it gets worse with D. D spends 6 minutes there. And then by the time we get to E, now we have 2 items in the queue. So we have even more backup. And it just gets worse as we go along. As we see that we still get items exiting the system every 6 minutes. And this is not going to change, but if we continue at this rate, we'll have this big buildup in the queue. And big buildup in the queue takes up space. It could contribute to error. So queue buildup is not a good thing. So one technique we could apply is what's called the drum rope buffer system, where we're actually pulling items into the system. And the way that we do this is we pull or send an item into the system, which is actually pulling by when activity 6 is finished, we want to send something in. Really what we want to do is send something in every 6 minutes from beginning, because we know that that's how items will exit, and they will exit this capacity constraint right here. So this next tab shows what that looks like. So if we start back where we were with A enters the system just as it would and flows throughout the system. No change with A. But instead of, with B, instead of entering it back to back, we wait until that 6th minute and enter it then. And if we do that, we'll see that B flows directly into A, or the third activity. It flows through the system. It goes straight from activity 3 to 4, 5. Now it still exits at 28 versus A's exiting at 22. And that's not going to change. So as we work with this other alternative, we're still going to have a capacity of 6 meaning that items exit the system once every 6 minutes. That's not going to change. What is going to change is the reduction and really elimination of queue buildup. Before we saw, so if we look back here in our first model, we see this queue buildup here in the second queue before the third activity. But if we're pushing or pulling items into the system once every 6 minutes, we don't have that buildup in here at all. In fact, we have items flowing smoothly through that activity, just like they would anything else through the system. We have some underutilization up here and some underutilization down here, but really that all balances out because we don't have that queue buildup. And so this is actually kind of a lean principle, and this is how we reduce and eliminate the queue buildup by doing this, inserting the item once every 6 minutes, because we know an item's going to exit once every 6 minutes.